So Arbitrary YouTube channel. In today's class we'll be learning how to make this beautiful cage hat bustier that we have here. So this is very useful, especially if you have clients that has a big bust and you may not be able to get their padding correctly. So you just need to cut their fabric very well, and then you can use your boning to cage the bust area like this. So you can see how firm this is looking and how beautiful it is. It's a very simple tutorial to make and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this bust caging, I have this bustier pattern that I already crafted. We've done several bustier on the channel already, so I'm just going to be using this as my to illustrate this for us. This is actually a requested tutorial. So after joining your bustier, the next thing you need to do is to open your seam by ironing it really neatly both in and out. So you iron it neatly as you have seen, and then you open your seam line. So this is my under bust area. You can see that I have notched it. So now I'm going to try to map out the area that is going to be covered by the bust. So that's the place that I'm going to be doing my caging. You may not need to do this if you're adding soft wadding and you cut your soft wadding in form of that bust shape, okay? But because this does not have anything, so I'm going to be mapping the area. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to note where my nipple point is. So I'm just going to place it on my under bust. My under bust is 14, so I'm going to place my tape on my under bust, and my nipple point is 10.5. so here I'm going to mark the 10.5 here. I'm using a marker so that we can see what I'm doing well. So on this other side as well, I'm going to mark my 10.5, and I'm going to make that into a straight line. You can use your ruler for this, okay? So this is my bust point. So after noting my bust point, I'm going to mark on my, remember this is the center front area, this is the side area. So on the side now, I'm going to mark from the place where I joined my dart. I'm going to mark around 4 inches here on my bust point, and then I'm going to curve it to this upper part like half an inch. Remember, you need to leave your seam allowance for turning. So I'm going to mark it like this, and then I'm going to curve it as well to my under bust area. So you make sure you do a very nice job. I already have a tutorial on how you can cut your wadding, so if you watch that tutorial to make this easier for you. So I know that the bust does not get to this space. So the same thing that I have done here, and this here is my under bust area, okay? So the same thing that I've done on this side, I'm going to measure on this other side as well, and then I'm going to curve it just like I did for the other side, and then I'm going to do that to my under bust. So you can see that this space is where I am going to be applying my caging. So now I'm going to note my center front, okay? So you can do that by just putting it on fold like this, and then you mark where your center front is. So it's here and here. So by the time I open it out, you can take your ruler and then you connect it like this for your center front, okay? So remember, the caging is going to stop on your under bust area. So the first one I'm going to do on my center front here, I'm going to mark like half an inch on both sides, here and here. So the half an inch now, I'm going to connect it to the under bust like this, and then I'm going to mark the other one to this side. So I'm going to just connect like this and then map to my dart area. So the same thing on this side as well, I'm going to connect, and then I'm going to mark that also to join it, okay? So these are my boning channel. This is the first one, this is the second one. So now again on this bust point area, I'm going to run a channel from here, from the external part here, then it's going to run through the bust point line, and then it's going to run to the other external part. So that's going to be another boning channel for me. Another boning channel that I'm going to create is the difference between my bust point and my under bust. So I'm just going to note like the midpoint there, and then I'll also run a channel on that part. So here I'm going to run a channel. So this now I'm going to curve it to meet my bust point on this side. Okay, so here again I'm going to run a channel as well, and then I'll curve that to meet my bust point. So you can see the channels that I have one going like this, one like this, one on my bust point, one at the middle of my bust point on the under bust, and one on my under bust area. So you can leave it like this, or you can run more boning channels. Okay, so if you want to run more boning channels here, you can also get the midpoint of this. Okay, and then you just run a channel on this as well. So whatever you do to one side, you make sure to do it on the other side as well. So once you're satisfied with all the channels that you have, then we'll go ahead and sew. You can also run one at the center front, but because this is close enough, I'm not going to be putting a boning knot at the center front, so I'm going to just have one here, here, and all of the channels. So to cage this, I'm going to be working with this Regilined boning. Okay, so there is a smaller one which is around 0.25, that's quarter of an inch. So that is very, very flexible and easier to bend. Remember, we are going to be working with curves. So that's going to make it really easy for you to work with because it's curved. But this is what I have right now, so I'm going to be managing that. So I'm just going to make sure to sew it bit by bit so that it's not going to give me issues. So now we'll move to the sewing machine now and start to sew. So I'm going to trace the boning size that I need, and then I'm going to cut it out so that it can be smaller and easy for me to work with. So I'm going to be starting with this. So what I'm going to do is just to place this now, and then I'll place it under my machine. So when you are doing this, you make sure the fabric that you are sewing, you spread them out so that you don't have anything packing, and then you sew very, very slowly. You don't have to rush it. So you keep sewing in bits, and then you follow the line that you created. So I've done the first one, and I have a little excess here, so I'm going to trim it off. So this is what it looks like on the right side. You make sure that whatever it is that you are sewing, nothing is packing. It has to be smooth and straight. So after sewing the first side, I'll go ahead now and sew the second side. So I'm just going to place it under my machine again, and then I'm going to sew very, very gently. You don't have to rush it so that you will not need to loosen it again. So I'll place it under the machine, and then I'm going to sew. So you spread it out, and then you sew gently. So like I said, if you are working with a smaller bone, it's going to be easier for you to control it because it's more flexible. But if you're working with this, you just have to be patient about it. So the excess that I have here, I'm going to stop it on my underbust and then cut it off. And this is what I have. So you can see that it is smooth. You will not have anything packing, and you can see how smooth our cuff line came out. Now I'm going to continue filling up the rest. So you can see the way the boning is curved because of this. It has been packed like this for a long time, so it was already taking this shape. When you are sewing it, you make sure that you follow the curve line like this. You don't want to sew it like this, so that's not going to be giving you a funny shape because it's not going to be easy for you to bend it inward. So you just follow the shape that you already have there, and then I'm going to measure the amount of boning that I need. So once I have it, I'll cut it off for it to be easy for me to work with, and then I'm going to place it under my sewing machine, and then I'll start to sew this. So I don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to continue sewing this off camera, and then I'll show us what we have. So basically what I'm just doing is sewing on the mark. That's why I use the marker, so that we can see it well. So So I'm just sewing, following the lines that I already created. So those are my boning channels. I just need to fill it up. So for this, you need to use a regular boning. That is a boning that you can sew on. So you can see that I am just sewing on the boning directly. Okay. So once I sew this, I'll remove it. I'll check what I have. So if it is smooth enough, you can see that this is really smooth. So if I have something smooth, I'll go ahead and sew the other side as well, and then I'll move to the next boning line. So this is what you have to do. Just work with it gently, and then it's not going to give you any issue once you don't rush. So I am sewing one of the vertical channels now, so I'm just going to spread it very well and then sew on the line. Okay, that's just what you need to do. Make sure nothing is packing underneath, and then you sew on it. So when I get to where I have a boning, I'm going to spread it and gently sew on the boning. Okay, if you sew it gently, it's not going to cut your thread. So you can see now that we have sewn it. So I'm going to move to the other one, and again I'm going to gently sew on the boning line that I already have there, and then I can now continue. So you keep spreading it and then you sew. So the boning I cut is not enough, so you have to be mindful of that. You can cut your boning in excess. So when you check it, you can see what we have, and you can see that the bust area now is becoming more pronounced. I can see that nothing is packing on the underneath. So this is what you want to achieve. Now I'll go and sew the rest off camera, and then I'll bring you back to show us what we have. So I've added several boning channels, as you can see, and you can see the way this is formed really nicely for me. So, and it's really neat. This is what it looks like on the inside. So now I think I'm just going to ignore this channel now and then add another boning on my dart line area. Then if you have enough, you can also add on this upper part. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to add on the dart line area, then I'll go ahead and iron it really nicely. But you can see what we have so far. You can see how neat it is, and then how easy it is to make this. So I'll go ahead now and create another boning on my dart lines on both sides, and then I'll take it to the table so that we can see it properly. So I have added a boning on the dart area as well. So the last one I'm adding is on this little curve that I have here. So I've cut it out, and then I'm just going to place a bone there and then sew it. Then after sewing it, I'll take it to the table so that we can see what this looks like. Okay, so I have sewn this completely now, and you can see what I have. So you just need to bring in your tailor's ham, and then you iron it very neatly. But even without ironing, you can see how beautiful this is looking. So you cut off all the threads that you have, and this is what we have on the inside. You can see how beautiful it is. So for me, this boning is fine, but if you need to add more, like all these channels that we created, you can also add at the center. But what I have here is okay for me. So you can see the inside, and you can see how neat this is looking as well. So now you just place it. This is going to be your like a lining fabric, because the boning channels cannot be showing on your main fabric. So you just need to bring in like a bustier that you have cut out the same way, and then you place it on it and sew. Then you can now use your lining to cover it up. So this is what it's going to look like. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me, and I hope you learned one or two things. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.